What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode here of Content Creators University with your boy JP. If you're new to my channel, well, I'm JP Hightek. I am a cinematographer, branding expert, and software developer. What I do is help individuals, businesses, entities elevate their presence with high quality visuals. What do I mean? I'm talking about graphic design, web design, really amazing videos and production, cinema being my background. So empower you when you're doing your live stream, when you're doing your recorded productions, or whenever you're drafting a strategy to have an impact with your marketing, with your branding. Well, that's what I do. Connect with me if you're looking for anything like that. Go to my website, jphightek.com. I'll be excited to help you and your business, as I've been doing this for over 15 years, and I can tell you, I love doing this. I love the transformation that I see whenever we help, me and my company, my team, we help a brand, we help a new company, or even an already established rebrand, transform, and simply impact. That's something I love. So why am I talking about this? Well, this is Content Creators University. This is what it's all about, right? Our motto here is create, impact, and innovate, right? As we know, technology is always changing, always evolving. There's always something new, something we have to learn. So this is the place. If you want to keep growing, like I always say, the day you stop learning, you stop growing. So here we never stop learning, which means we never stop growing. How do we do that? Well, we connect with one of the best minds in the IT media, content creation ecosystem, right? One of the best brains always come here every week. And they come to teach us the things that you and I we need to learn to elevate a specific aspect of our content creation, our entrepreneurship, our leadership journey, or what have you, right? That is what it's all about. So today I have another amazing guest. Before I talk about him, folks, you saw we had some of our sponsors, right? Charles Jackson Media, doing amazing things. If you're all about elevating your media, you want to build a professional studio, or you simply want to understand the mechanics of live, then go ahead and connect with him. His website is charlesjackson.media. Or if you want to look into protecting yourself, we have another sponsor on this show is ExpressVPN. And ExpressVPN, what they do is give you free 3 months. I repeat, you can get 3 months free today of ExpressVPN that I personally use and recommend. And all you have to do is go to expressvpn.com/JP Hightek. Now, it is important that we protect ourselves, our investment, and everything we have going on as we're using the web, we're using the internet more than before. And as you know, the more people are doing it, you always have those ill-intentioned individuals that will always try to hack, always try to breach into your personal information. So that data, you need to get that encrypted, protected, so you're not at risk of anything, right? So besides that, we have another sponsor on the show. We want to thank our sponsors because they're making these shows possible every single week. And talking about sponsor, I have another one coming up. You want to go ahead and check it out, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We'll be looking at the folks that will be coming next in the show. Stay tuned. All right, now we're about to talk about who will be next in the Content Creators University, as you see right there. Before I talk about Jeff, earlier you just watched an ad. That is RTN Streams. For those of you who do not know, that is an amazing solution for anybody that want to elevate their live streaming experience, right? For example, I am broadcasting this live stream both on my Roku TV application, my website, YouTube, Facebook, Fire TVs. All right. So if you're asking, how is he doing all that? Well, I'm using RTN Streams. So go ahead and check it out. Go to the website, rtnstreams.com, and really elevate your live streaming experience and really expand your reach and have more followers and really monetize the way you should be doing it, because this is very, very important. Now, folks, besides that, we also have how you can truly get a live streaming overlay, right? Look at the overlay I'm using in this video. This overlay that I'm using, you can get one for free. Just go to rtnstreams.com, download your free one, and improve the aesthetics of your look, of your videos or your production. I know you like that. So Jeff Bull, right? Jeff Bull, he's a technology enthusiast. He's a professional, and he's going to be here in the Content Creators University on August 3rd, which is next Tuesday. We'll be talking about something amazing, is how to juggle both your business and passion the right way. Very important, right? So we'll be discussing that. Very excited about that conversation. And we also have my man, Derek Floyd. Derek Floyd will be with us the following day, which is next Wednesday. And that will be August 4th. And with him, we're talking about how you can create your own unique voice within this content creation ecosystem. You need to be unique. You don't copy and paste anybody else. How can you create your own personal voice? Important conversations, folks, that we'll be talking about. And as you know, folks, enough about the folks that will be here next. We have an amazing guest backstage here, and this is the one and only Steve Worthy. Now, for those of you who do not know, today we're talking about this topic that is Am I Worthy, right? We're talking about content creation. We're talking about entrepreneurship, leadership, executive coaching. And why am I saying all this? Because Steve Worthy, he's the CEO of Worthy Retail U, and he's in the retail space and building leaders, building, future people that will impact in the ecosystem that we have here of, just entrepreneurship. And who better than him to talk to us about how to really build that and how to really overcome a possible imposter syndrome. If you ever suffer from that, I know I have, right? How to really deal with it, how to approach it, what to understand about it, and make sure that you feel qualified every single time you step on stage. These are important things, right? So what we're about to do right now is go ahead and bring him over. He's going to come on the stage, talk to us, and we're going to dive right into it right after this. Don't go anywhere. Stay with me. Hey, Steve, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here with us.
What's going on, man? You caught me looking over here trying to reply to a couple of these comments over here. It's been cool to kind of get the response from people. Man,
absolutely.
Listen to me, man. I can't believe it. Mama, I made it. I made it on JP's Hightek show, the Content Creator University. I'm good now. I'm about to retire after this.
I appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. We are honored to have you here as our professor today because you have a lot, to unpack, a lot to teach us. We have a lot to learn from you today. So I'm very excited. And I want to welcome you to the Content Creators University. Before we get started, as we always do, right? We want to ask you, who is this guy? For the folks that don't know who Steve Worthy is, what you do, take a minute, introduce yourself to them, please.
Man, that's a big question. So I'm Steve Worthy, CEO of Worthy Retail U, and also host of Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy, the podcast, and also the live stream. And on each platform, what we try to do is to really focus in on retail leadership and how do we help the retail leaders understand that every decision that they make in their leadership, it impacts everybody every day all over the world. We are an executive coaching firm, and so we focus in on helping taking our clients from where they currently are to where they want to be. And we have a methodology that we currently use that's on our website. But the major piece is that we focus in on helping people understand that they need to develop a really good value system on who they are first, because that will help them define where it is that they want to go. People make a lot of different decisions every day, all day long, but if you don't have a really good foundation and structure, listen to me, you can make all the decisions in the world, but it's not going to get you the results that you need. And so we try to help people out with that as well.
Already out the gate, Steve is dropping some bombs, and I hope I hope the folks that are here are listening. I hope if you're there just tuning into the podcast, you're listening to this, I hope you're taking note. You just said you help, first of all, them define their value proposition, right? Very important, because today what we're talking about is how to attack and deal with imposter syndrome. But we cannot talk about that without actually talking about the person that's going to deal with that, right? Believing in yourself, right? Which is a big deal. So let's go deeper into that. How exactly do you help, or do you guys coach people to believe into the value they're bringing on the table?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, man. So we have an approach that I developed over the course of my leadership, and it's called the GEM approach. And it stands for G equals grow, E stands for empower, and multiply, and M stands for multiply. One of the things that we truly focus in on is your current state. When we think about the GEM approach, the growth stage is really your current state. Where are you right now? Emotionally, mentally, financially, professionally, all these different areas. So we take a holistic look at your entire life and make sure that you understand where you currently are. Because before we start to go anywhere, this, JP, is like, you got kids and you guys are taking a road trip or somewhere, you can plow out the destination, but you have to realize where you are first before you can go to that destination. And a lot of times that's the scariest part for our clients, is really defining who they are, because the world has told them this, their parents have told them this, their bosses had told them this. And so we have to kind of cut out all of that noise. And by using a GEM approach, we help you fundamentally, from a growth standpoint, you have to be planted first. And so we try to plant you, with your values, and understand that and that's where you have to grow from, is that value system. A couple of things we do. Our intake process is pretty cool. It's pretty simple. We have an intake form that's about 25 questions long. It's pretty in depth. But then we also use the Enneagram. So Enneagram is a personality test. And there's 9 different personality types, and we actually utilize that coupled with the intake form to get a really good picture. But it's just a beginning picture of kind of who you are, and then from there we kind of move forward and we kind of plot out a course for you.
Fantastic. I mean, I love your approach because you focus on the important aspects of the commencement of the journey, right? You just talked about making sure that their foundation is solid, and from there develop. And that is so crucial when you're speaking, because as a branding expert myself, working with brands and different companies, that is a very important aspect, because you just said, right, making sure to tune out what people said about them, told them, what they've heard, what they believe from hearing those people, and making sure that they tune all those things out and focus on what they truly have and help them build that solid foundation, because the foundation of everything is what's going to determine the outcome of it.
100%. 100%.
Right? So you guys are focusing first on establishing a solid foundation for either the individual or the company before you even open the conversation or take it anywhere else. Because the understanding is, if you have the wrong foundation, anything that you build on top of that is going to crumble. Am I right, Steve?
You're 100%. We say a couple of things, right? I have all these sayings, but one of the things that we say a lot, and I live by, is that the more you know yourself, the more you can say no. And I think what we have is a lot of leaders and a lot of people out there that are willing to go in this direction and that direction based off of either shiny object syndrome, or the fact that they feel like that's where they want to go. But if you actually have a really good strategy and foundation of who you are, the more you can say no to all those things that kind of come across your plate. But we live in such a fast-paced world, right, where before, right, I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about Blockbuster, and I remember Blockbuster, where you would actually have to wait, a year to like get the VHS tape for a video. It's like, and you would just wait it with anticipation, right? You marked it on your calendar. Nowadays, it's so quick, and we get desensitized to waiting, and waiting along the journey and really discovering ourselves, because we feel like we should already be somewhere, right now. And the tendency is that, so to do that, we start to substitute all these different things in our life that really do have no value. They have a external value, right? Because we show people that we're doing some progress, but internally, intrinsically, it's not helping us. And then guess what? We get to a certain point, everything falls. We can't do that. You have to be, we talk about journey all the time. You have to be an active participant in your journey. If you're not, the journey is going to happen to you. And then guess what? You're not going to get anywhere where you want to be. You have to make sure that you're an active participant in your journey.
I love that. I love that because saying that actually links directly to what Keith Pelzer said last week when he was here. And folks, if you missed that episode, you missed something major. You want to go back and either watch or listen to that episode with Keith Pelzer. Amazing. He said that, you need to focus on one very important aspect in vis-a-vis of content creation or your business or your entrepreneurship or whatever you're doing is the relationship aspect of it. And that's what you just said, right? What is your play within what you're doing? What is your relationship within what you're doing, right? Here's content creation. That's what we're talking about. Maybe you're a YouTuber. Maybe you're, just a producer, cinematographer, or a podcaster, or what have you, or an author. You name it. What is your relationship with the product or the service you're releasing? Like, if you cannot find a tangible relationship with it, the people or the targeted audience will not find themselves in it either. You want to elaborate on that, Steve?
No, they won't, man, because I'll use myself as an example, because one of the toughest things that I've actually had to do over the last 6 months is to niche down into our concept. Because before, we were Worthy Leadership Group, which was awesome, and we're still doing coaching, and we were doing all these things where we felt like it was important for us to work probably with some diverse leaders, which we still do. And then the podcast that we thought was really the core direction of what I needed to do, but I actually had to kind of like suspend some of that and figure out like, who's my core audience? What do I do? And so I was challenged. I had a podcast coach. So we'll talk, coaches need coaches. I have a podcast coach. I have an executive coach myself. And he challenged me to come up with different topics for my new podcast, which is Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy. He said, just come up with 13. Steve, just come up with 13. I came up with 40. I came up with 40 in a week. And they're all really solid topics and discussions. And I realized at that point in time, I said, this is it. And JP, it was almost like the skies parted and I was walking on water, and the clarity that I received from that. But I said that to say is that we have a lot of people that are afraid to really kind of not niche down in their lives with their decisions that they need to make about where they want to go, because they're too focused on what everybody else may think. And once you start to realize that people don't care about what you're doing, right? They really don't. They really don't. They may act like they do. They care about what you're doing to the extent that a lot of times that it's going to help them reach their goals. But at the end of the day, you need to focus in on what it is that you need to do for yourself, for your family, for your credibility, for your journey, because no one else is going to be on this journey with you except for yourself.
Oh yeah. That is so true. You are the person piloting the plane. You are the one going somewhere. Everybody else, they're just a passenger, right?
Exactly.
And I say not just a regular passenger, just free passengers, right? To start with.
You have to allow them to be a passenger. You got to allow them into the vehicle, though, right? You got to allow them to. I mean to cut you off, man, but that you have to. Oh, yeah. That's the part. We allow the wrong people. It was that old Jim Collins book, Good to Great, talks about getting the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus. It's the same thing in your life, right? A lot of times we bring that person onto our journey because guess what? They enable us. They help us. True. They hype us up. They're like, dude, you got this. You got this. That's awesome. That's the way to go. You're so much better than everybody else and all this other stuff. And so, but when the rough times come, we see this a lot with some of our clients because they don't have the ability to stand on their own and their own values. Things start to crumble. Very
true. And what you just said is so true. I mean, is there a relationship, right?
No.
Is the relationship between the instigator and your followers, right?
Yeah.
But it is such a unique relationship where you gotta be careful not to let the passengers determine the type of trip you're gonna have,
Yes.
right? Because I mean, you don't drive your car on the highway and anybody that just waves you just stop your car and give people a ride, even if you got to have a good heart. I mean, you got to be careful, right? You got to look at, okay, who do I want to help today? Who do I want to give a ride to? Or I can't have this, because why would you say I cannot help you? It's because you know your destination. Right? The people that are following or connecting with you may think they know, but remember, you started something, and it is crucial that as you're starting, you know already where you're trying to get to. I mean, whenever I book a plane, I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to a certain destination. I don't try to figure it out as I'm in the plane. No, that plane is going somewhere. That means the pilot already knew about the destination maybe 2 weeks ago, right? That it will be this plane, this traffic going here and all that. Now, you joining, you need also to understand the relationship with this specific trajectory. Now, Steve, on your resume, you have executive coaching. I want you to talk to us a little bit more about what that entails. But before you do that, I'm loving the folks in the comment section. Let's say hello to them real quick.
Absolutely.
All right here we have my man Antoine Speller. Hey, Antoine, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. Antoine is not his first time here, so we appreciate you every time you join us on the live here. Pretty nice. I have Spoke Audio. Hey, Spoke Audio, hello to you as well. I have Linda. Hey, Linda Worthy. That last name is talking to me.
I think that's my sister-in-law.
There we go. Hey, Linda, thanks for joining us here on the live. We appreciate your presence. Laura.
What's up, Robert?
Yep.
Hey, Laura.
Hey, Laura Williams. How's it going? Hello to you as well. We are happy. And one thing that Laura said that I like in the comment is knowing yourself and your values are so critical. Very true, Laura. Very, very true. Now, executive coaching, Steve. What does that mean for the folks that do not even understand, the jargon that we're using here, and what does that entail?
Great question. Great question. I think that it's almost a misnomer sometimes, right? Because I don't want to say just coaching, because then when you say that, there is also the, oh my gosh, just you're a coach. Executive coaching is more of a state of mind. It's more of a higher level of thought process and business thinking and who you are about where you are in your current career professionally, right? There are life coaches, and I don't really necessarily consider myself a life coach because my focus is on business. But the one thing that I often do is define like what the word coach is, right? So coach is just an old English term, right? That actually was a transport vehicle. It transported people from where they were to where they wanted to go, and that's exactly what a coach does. The coach is that facilitator and process to help you unpack kind of your thoughts of where you want to go, help you define that process by a series of questions, a series of challenges, a series of having you kind of do some introspection of where you currently are. The thing that we don't do, we're not a therapist, we're not counseling, right? We don't necessarily get into like massive like family dynamics to the therapist degree, but we do talk about the fact of how your upbringing and how certain things that have transpired in your life do impact your trajectory and where you currently are and where you currently want to go. So we do focus in on that. But the goal of a coach is to be an active partner with you on your journey, helping you talk about those things that you probably can't talk about with your boss. You can't talk about with your peer, because they may not understand it, or they may feel like, oh my gosh, if I talk about this, they're going to think that I don't know it all. And a lot of times you don't. What we see a lot in our clients is twofold. We'll talk about imposter syndrome here shortly, I know. But the other one is that they feel like they're running out of time. We have a lot of people in this world especially that, even in retail, they feel like they're running out of time. And what they really mean is they feel like they're running out of time to do something of significance. The paint like a Sistine Chapel, the Ivory Tower. They want to do these big grandiose things, and they feel like they're running out of time to do that. And what we have to help them understand, it's not about the big pictures. It's not about those big things. It's about the relationships that you build. It's about those daily encounters. It's about developing talent and exporting talent. It's about having a really good value system and structure in who you are for yourself personally, also for your family. Those are the things that, from a grandiose accomplishment standpoint, those are the things that you should be focused in on. And then how does that fit in with your life professionally and where you want to go? So we do a whole bunch of things, but the imposter syndrome is something that we often deal with and talk about as well.
Oh, very, very, very amazing the way you elaborated that. And that is so important. And I'm liking what Spoke Audio is saying here. Spoke Audio is saying that that's a question, right? As a creator and ultimately an artist, I know there's an evolutionary aspect to creating, right? How do you take steps to be aware of how the people you work with could evolve in creation business? I'm going to put it back up.
Yeah, bring that back up.
Yeah, I'm going to put it back up. So how do you take steps to be aware of how the people you work with could evolve? So awareness of how the people you're working with could evolve in the creation or business that you have.
Oh, I think that's a great question. And I think there has to be a level of vulnerability in that partnership that you have with someone that, I know Robert, right? He was just on my live stream last week, and he and I partner. We talk on quite a few different topics, but I know he's really close to a couple other guys, John Ryan and Moni Johnson, and those relationships that you already have, Robert. You are already establishing yourself not just as an individual, but as a partner with them by the content that you produce. Because there's also your content, Robert. I'm just going to speak right to Robert since he asked the question. Go ahead. Robert, your content is truly an outcropping of who you already are. And I know I've told you that because, the name of his podcast he has is called Never Call Me Again. That's such an audacious name. And I don't mean that negatively. It is just such an audacious name. And Robert is an audacious person in how he thinks and his perspective and his thoughts. He's uncompromising. He's a fellow military person like myself. So I think you're already on that journey, Robert, with helping the people that are partnering with you, and you're partnering with them already. I think your gut and how to pick people and friends is already spot on. I think the people that you don't want in your life, and you're already doing that. You're already on that journey, man.
I love the way you put it. And also, just to add to what you said, Robert, let me add a little something, is that the way you will know and understand how the people that you have surrounding you are growing with you in the creation that you have putting together your business is a couple of elements that will be important not to, ignore, is making sure that your surrounding or the team, because it's twofold, right? You can have a surrounding that's just there for moral support, right? Morally, they're just there to support you, to give you the love that you need, to keep pushing you so you can keep doing the great things you're doing. And then you have the ones that are surrounding you within the creation of what you're doing. So they're, working with you. They're part of your staff. They're part of the creation aspect that you have. You have meetings with them to brainstorm and things like that. So if you have a team that is on the level 2 that are staff based, that team need to understand where you're at and where you're going. Because whenever they do not understand that, then whatever they're putting on the table will work against you. So that will be something, and that's why you need to have meetings, and that's why you need to explain. That's why you need to have a written purpose, a mission statement of what you're doing, and always check in depending on the level you're at, and that will help your team be at the same level. As a business owner myself, this is something that I have to know and I have to do. And whenever I'm coaching my clients that also have businesses, this is something that not only you, Robert, my suffer from this or might have blurred lines on how to handle it. Especially today, everybody that's working from home, we have a tendency to let that go a little bit, but that is the breadth that your business will have, because you can start something great, but it's not about it's not about what you started. It's about the sustainability of what you've started. Like, how can you maintain the level of excellence, keep going for year in, year out? So that's the little thing I wanted to add to that, to what you just said, Steve.
Yeah. You and I were talking earlier, and I didn't use this phrase, but I was talking to a buddy of mine last night. Not last night. Yeah, it was last night. No, not last night. Monday. I do this community takeover in my Facebook group, and Walter Gainer and I were talking, and we were talking about starting ugly. Like, how do you just start ugly, right? And, I think, the tendency sometimes is that we get stuck in the paralysis of analysis with certain things. It could be our content creation. It could be starting a business. It could be even having a conversation with that person that's on your team that's actually not working out, but you're afraid to let them go because you don't have a backfill or you don't have somebody to replace them. I got to tell you, man, that is like one of the worst decisions that you can ever make. Is like, you got to get that person off your team. If you need to work a little extra hard, then that's what you need to do. But you got to get that person off your team. And I've never heard anybody regret getting a person that was a laggard or didn't share the vision off their team soon enough. I think that's the tendency that we have a lot of times. We're afraid of that. We got to get those people off our team. They're going to stagnate our growth.
And that is so crucial. And that is one aspect that a lot of business owners do not like talking about, is how to purge your team. And I love the comment that Angelica Prather, saying in the comments, she said, building a firm foundation of business is key, very key. And like I'm saying, you need to be ready to have those heartfelt, I don't call them hardcore, but heartfelt conversations, because ultimately, like you just said, Steve, earlier, you're the only person on that journey. So meaning when you fall, not everybody's going to fall with you.
Right.
You fail. So remember that you need to, you're the person on the journey and people coming along, embracing your vision. So see, also this has another flip side to it. You cannot succeed if you do not have a clear vision. And you cannot say you have a clear vision and not believe in it. Your surrounding cannot believe more in your vision than you. That means you're not going to be a good leader. And this goes straight into leadership that I want to ask you about. What, in your opinion, are the attributes of a good leader?
Man, oh man. You know what? I think one of the things that a really good leader has to be able to do is to be able to identify solid leadership traits in other people. And that is one of the things that a lot of leaders struggle with sometimes, is that they don't take the time to really understand how their team works and how their team operates and what they need to get out of that person. I struggle with that as a young leader, because when I brought people on my team, I brought a whole bunch of little Steves, on my team, because I was like, okay, I can pick my team. I can pick a lot of Steves, people that are like me, like-minded, think like me, all this stuff. We didn't get a lot of stuff done because we were too visionary, we were too far ahead, and we didn't have the people in place, the analytical piece, the people to help us put the pieces in play. So that leads me to the second point. You actually have to understand your opportunities as a leader so that you can have a complementary team. If you don't understand once again, this goes back to everything that we just talked about. If you don't understand who you are, your self-awareness, emotional intelligence, how you handle a situation, and if you're not real with yourself, your team's gonna struggle because they're not gonna know your mind, to your point, JP, about your mission and where you want to go, because you're gonna vacillate back and forth because you're not clear. You're inconsistent. You don't want to be inconsistent as a leader. That is the worst thing that you can be as a leader, is inconsistent. And then there's like two more. There's two more that I think a lot of people don't really talk about. Maybe this one they do, but like empathetic listening. Your ability to empathetically listen which means that you have the ability to put yourself in that other person's shoes. That no year like any other year, like 2020, with the pandemic, as a leader, especially in retail, that we actually had to be more empathetic and understand what our team was going through, not just our team, but their families were going through. And the empathetic leaders that were listeners, they have been succeeding. We have seen the ones who have not been empathetic, they're not here anymore. They're not doing it because people need to be heard and they want to be heard. And as a leader, the tendency is that we feel like we have all the answers and we're not talking to our team and really understanding where they are and where they want to go, and then how they can also impact our leadership and where we need to go. The last one is approachability. It's approachability. That countenance of a leader to be open so that person can be vulnerable around you. You get that? Hope people get that. I hope they really get that. Is that you don't want people to be around you who are going to be fake. If you're not approachable, people will figure that out. That is one of the cool things I feel like God has blessed me with, has been that ability to be approachable. And so people are very vulnerable around me, and they will tell me whatever it is, how they feel, whether it's about me or whether it's about the direction that we're going or how they want to play a role. But those are some of the critical elements that I think a lot of leaders need to have nowadays.
Fantastic. I love it. Next, I'm about to ask you about the imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Before we do that, let's take a quick ad break, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, folks, if you're just joining us, this is the Content Creators University. We've been with Steve Worthy, a leadership professional and also a content creator. He's here to talk to us about how we can understand imposter syndrome and avoid that or fight against it, right? What are the safeguards to have? And also, we're discussing about leadership, entrepreneurship, understanding the values that goes into those things and the people surrounding us. That's what we're doing. So let's go ahead and bring Steve back onto the platform. Hey, Steve. So earlier we were just talking about all those amazing things, and I want to thank you again for all the knowledge you've been dropping to us, and we're loving it, right? So now we're about to jump into the second part of the show, which is about imposter syndrome. I mean, this is something that I honestly, humbly believe that anybody in the executive leadership field, in the content creation ecosystem, in a way or another, suffered from, right? Feeling unqualified, feeling that this is not your strong suit. So you do not have that credibility to stand on stage and talk about the topic at hand, even though that might be your favorite topic, or that might be a field you've been working in for the past 15 years. Now you're looking at yourself as, a reference, right? Where a lot of people might be looking at you and trying to listen to the things you want to share. And all of a sudden you feel unqualified. Tell us a little bit, where do you think all this is coming from? And how did you deal with it from a personal standpoint?
Yeah, man, that's a good and big question. When I started doing research on imposter syndrome, of course, some of the stats we're always talking about, around 70% of people in the world deal with it. I honestly think it's a little more. And some of the more famous people that actually have struggled with it. Maya Angelou, one of her famous quotes was that, I've written over 11 books, and every time I write another one, I feel like, oh my gosh, they're going to find me out. Albert Einstein, he's been quoted as saying that he feels like an involuntary swindler, meaning that he just doesn't deserve any of the accolades that he's received over all of his inventions and all of his discoveries. And then, of course, to bring it a little more modern, Michelle Obama often talks about, that she still struggles with that idea about being an imposter, fraudulent, and she's one of the most educated, poised women in the entire world. But there's so many people that still struggle with it, and it's the overwhelming feeling of inadequacy. But here's the thing about imposter syndrome: there's no evidence that you're inadequate. That's the deal. That's the rub. That's almost like the Jedi mind trick of imposter syndrome. There is no evidence that you suck at whatever it is that you think you're trying to do. There isn't any evidence. Honestly, there's actually more evidence to the contrary of who you are. But what it really, it can stem from a couple of things. You know, a lot of my clients, they come from two parts of a family. They come from a family that is super achievement oriented, like throughout their entire life, they've been push, or they come a family that's really not so much achievement oriented. And when that person who hasn't been really focused in on achievement, when they get into the real world and get into a competitive environment, guess what happens? Now they start to realize, oh my gosh, I should have probably buckled down and actually done a little bit more. And oh my gosh, now they have to work even harder. And then they feel like, I can't do this. I can't actually meet these expectations. And then you have the person that's a super achievement oriented individual. They are so focused in on the achievement, but they don't have any relationship. And so when they're actually at a certain point in their career, it's almost a detriment to them that they've been able to achieve so much. And then now they're positioned to lead a team, and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do at this point, because they didn't take the time to understand their opportunities and work in their opportunities. They were so focused on the achievement, and they got to a certain point. Now they don't have the requisite skills to actually get there, or at least they're telling themselves that. Here's the thing with imposter syndrome. You don't get imposter syndrome when you're operating at your current level. If you are operating at a comfortable level where you are in your career, it's not going to happen. You're not going to be like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm unqualified. No, you're going to feel like, I got this. This is super cool. I'm my own boss, or my boss doesn't mess with me. I'm so much smarter than my team. Sometimes I'm even smarter than my boss. So I'm good. However, but when you're in the brink of doing something big, when you start to think about a different idea, when you start to think about, hey, Matt, for me, like, oh my gosh, I was like, I want to be on Content Creators University. And now I was like, when I got that invite, I was like, holy crap, what am I going to talk about? And this, I was like, but I know I got tons of stuff to talk about, as you could tell. However, that feeling, it was still there. But here's how we help our clients with it. We utilize it as a catalyst to their success. I had one client who was, his upbringing, his education, all these things were against him. However, he had the realization of who he truly was. We developed an awesome, strong value system in who he was. And once he was able to do that, when that imposter syndrome hit him, he used it to catapult his life, his thought process, and his activities. And guess what he ended up doing? He ended up writing a book that he always wanted to do. And now he's on the second book, right? And so he realizes that it's going to be there. And I apologize if I'm getting long-winded with this one, because I'm passionate about it. And those of you who have heard me before talk about imposter syndrome, I'm going to use the same analogy, because people will often ask me, Steve, does it ever go away, or how do you get rid of it? There's a movie, hopefully people have looked at this, if not, need to look at it. It's called A Beautiful Mind, with Russell Crowe, and he plays this mathematician, John Nash, who receives the Nobel Peace Prize. But however, he has struggled with schizophrenia his entire life, and he sees three different voices. And what happens at the end of his life, per se, they come to him and they say, hey, we want to give you the Nobel Peace Prize. And he says to them, well, you just want to really know if I'm crazy or not, or if I still see the voices. And they're in a cafeteria in a university, and he looks over across the cafeteria, and in the corner are those three voices that he has dealt with his entire life. And he says, you know what? They're there, but I refuse to recognize them. And that, I tell you what, man, when he said that, that hit me from an imposter syndrome standpoint. Those feelings of inadequacy, of fraudulent, of not feeling enough, they're going to be there. But it is up to you to acknowledge them. It is up to you to give them space in your life, in your mind, because when you do that, you're taking up space for something else that could be in there, another creative thought. You could be, it could be working with JP on overlays, but you're so focused in on, oh my gosh, I can do it myself. No, go to JP, let him do it. Right. It's you're taking up space. Don't allow imposter syndrome to take up space in your mind. Use that as catalyst to get you to where you need to go.
That is so crucial. I mean, and my takeaway from what you're saying and my little add into it as well is, believe in that you have a voice and you have somebody there that's going to want to listen to something you have to say. Right. And that's a big deal. And, imposter syndrome is a term that has a negative connotation in general to it. And I always say it's all about how you look at it. Because
Agreed.
imposter syndrome is just the tingling you have in your stomach when you're about to go on stage. That simply makes you feel alive. Right. It's a new challenge that you're getting. And I feel like that every time I need to speak, every time I need to go on stage, every time I need to do my live, right? Because, for example, you don't know how it's going to go. You can hit the live button, for example, as a content creators, and everything just comes crumbling down, right? As prepared as you are, you still don't know what's going to happen. And as you're going on stage, right, if you're a speaker like I am, and you're speaking, there will be a section of questions, right? There's a question and answer section. You don't know what questions you're going to get.
Right.
Right. So it's all about the groundwork that you've done, the preparation. That is what's going to save you every single time you have your back against the wall. Because you will have, it's not if, it's when you will have those questions that you really don't have the best answers for, or you have those situations where cut you off guard. But what's going to save you is the groundwork, the preparation, right? For example, last week with Keith Belser, again, we had technical issues. His microphone was going in and out. And in the middle of that, I had to automatically stop. He had to jump out. I have to switch cameras and throw an ad in the middle. I did it so fast, not because I'm better than my fellow streamer, simply because I've practiced, I've done it, the homework. In case of this, I have this. In case of that, I have this prepared. And all those things. I looked at all scenarios. Now, I'm throwing myself out there, believing that's going to go the way I'm thinking it's going to go. Yeah. That's what this is all about.
Last week with Robert Reed, right? Mm-hmm. Robert Reed, we actually did a discovery call before we actually, went online. And it was like 2.5 hours. His camera was working fine. Mic was great. Then all of a sudden, like, he's trying to dial in, and he's like, dude, my camera's gone. And so we had to pivot, right? That's the overused word of the year. But I had to pivot. And guess what we did? We went on with the show. His mic was fine. We just didn't have a camera. But I had a little vector that Alicia Way had created for him for my advertisement. So I put that up there, and then we went on with the show, and it was like an hour and a half or something like that. And so we had to pivot. But you just crushed it, JP, when you said about preparation. That is the killer. That is the killer for imposter syndrome, is your preparation and understanding, once again, who you are and being able to be prepared in that situation. And sometimes the situation will be completely different, to your point earlier, of where you need to go or what you think your outcome is going to be. Your outcome is just that. It is going to be the outcome. It is the journey and the process to actually get there that is the most important part. We fail to realize that we want to get these outcomes. We want to do all this other stuff, but it is who you're becoming kind of through the process that you have to like take in. And that's another thing we talk to our clients about. It's the becoming. It's not so much the end result. It is, who are you becoming as you're going through this, as you're going through adversity. JP, as the audio doesn't work, right? Who are you becoming? And Walter Strong, he was watching, and he shot a little comment, and he was like, "Yo, Steve, that was a good pivot. Just for me to go and treat it like a radio show, right? But that's because I had prepared for that. Steve, 6 months ago, listen to me, man. I would have probably just shut the entire live down and just let's just reschedule this joint and call it, over and do it again. And I was like, no, we just got to figure this thing out, man. We just got to figure it out.
That's so true. I mean, and that's the same thing. Again, going back to the example of a pilot, we put our lives into the hands of a pilot.
Yeah.
The entire everybody in the plane are trusting the pilot, but the pilot is not God. He's just prepared.
Yeah.
I mean, he did so many preparation, groundwork, training of scenarios and how to handle it. He doesn't know how the weather is going to be, or you might even look at the weather forecast, and then all of a sudden, everything changes. You just don't know. Yeah. But what's saving the day is the preparation, and that's where we're going to close in tonight. And that's our takeaway from everything we talked about. So with you, Steve, is how prepared are you? Because how are people going to know how prepared you are? Is the way you deal with adversity when it comes to you. Like you 100%. Just said, if you shut everything down just because it didn't go your way, if you just went into panic mode and you froze, right? If you cannot find your word because somebody put something, just threw you off guard, off your game.
Yeah.
I mean, you weren't that much prepared for this. Right. And so I appreciate you, Steve. I really want to thank you for this amazing show. I know we can keep going for 2 hours, but I want to honor the time and honor our visitors and our, people that are listening. And, we want to have you back again for a part 2.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Listen to me. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, man. And as you can tell, I could talk for days about whatever the topic may be. The great thing that I appreciate about you, and we say this as well, is that authenticity has no competition. And I believe you as an authentic person, right? Everything that you're doing, you don't have no competition because you are JP Hightek, and that's cool. That. And that's the thing. And you're not trying to be anything else but yourself. So I appreciate that authenticity.
Awesome. Before we let you go, we always ask, how can the folks connect with you, right? Professionally, socially, or what have you? What are the places and the spaces that you're living, spending your time, your fun, business, and all that? Can you share with the folks again so they can follow you and connect with you elsewhere?
Yeah, man. We're on all the social platforms, of course, and on Twitter and IG. We are at Worthy Retail U. Our Facebook group is Worthy Retail Coaching. But the place that you can go to get all of that information, from us is worthyretailu.com/now. And that will actually give you an opportunity to see everything that we have going on. You can get our podcast there. You can go to our social sites. You can also connect right to our website, connect for us with a time for a discovery call. Just want to chat it up a little bit. But everything that you need is going to be at www.worthyretailu.com/now.
Awesome. And I also see right here that he is on LinkedIn for the folks that live on LinkedIn. Connect with Steve over there.
We're about to start a Anna Hill and Fulgens created I won actually like this free overlay, and I've been looking for the right platform for it. And so I'm actually going to be using it for LinkedIn, and so we're gonna start doing some live streams on LinkedIn, and I'm actually pretty excited about that.
That's fantastic, Steve. Again, thank you. I want you to stay backstage as I close out here with the folks. Absolutely. All right, folks. This is the Content Creators University, where today we were with Steve talking about those amazing things. And if you're new to the channel, again, I want to go ahead and encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel right here. Go ahead and click on the subscribe button, activate the bell icon. If you do not know the YouTube channel, if you're listening to the podcast, the channel is youtube.com/JP Hightek Reviews. Okay, go ahead, come over and connect with us, and let's continue the conversation. Let me know in the comment section what do you think, and if you like it, go ahead and smack the like button there, and share this video with a friend or family member that is in the entrepreneurship, content creation ecosystem, or share the podcast. And as like we always say, folks, you be safe, and we'll see you again next Tuesday for another amazing conversation with an amazing guest. See you later, folks. Be safe. Bye-bye.